All right, guys. Easy Tiger Psychology. Mindfulness. Let's talk about mindfulness. Big term in psychology and mental health, in probably like holistic health as well. Mindfulness is not relaxation. Although the similarities are bigger than the differences, in my opinion, but it is not the same. If we look at mindfulness and relaxation from a perspective of differences, then it is quite significant to mention that mindfulness is an approach where we focus on the here and now, and it has a huge aspect of acceptance in it. Whereas the approach of relaxation is change. So mindfulness doesn't want to change something. Mindfulness is all about acceptance, here and now, and self-compassion. It is okay to feel like this and this. Whereas relaxation is all about the change. So as a quick rundown, relaxation technique, for instance, a breathing technique, deep breathing, belly breathing, will, even in a stress response, will calm your system down. You force your system to flood the body with hormones that will chill you out. So that's quite important to understand. So we can use certain relaxation techniques, and we use them in trauma work quite a lot, to detach those overwhelming feelings from the trigger points of trauma. And even in a quite significant fight-flight response, we can use those techniques. Now, mindfulness is something completely different. With mindfulness, we would probably not use in a fight-flight response. We would probably use a different approach. So mindfulness is something that focuses on the here and now, and it is okay to feel like that. Now, I personally have a very radical approach to mindfulness, and obviously I practice that myself, and I teach people to consider a more mindful lifestyle. So, and I have had clients, they came to me and they wanted help to implement mindfulness into their lifestyle. And after doing a bit of assessment, the majority of those clients, they had a very unmindful lifestyle, meaning packed with appointments, packed with responsibilities, packed with social events, packed with perfectionism. And I think that's quite important to mention here, that the perfectionism in those packed schedules is more the problem than the actual packed schedule. Now, if I work with a client who has that approach and wants to implement some mindfulness into their already fully packed schedule, their idea of mindfulness is to get up half an hour earlier and do a mindfulness meditation or something. Whereas I would probably challenge their ideas a little bit, and I would introduce them to a more mindful lifestyle. And what I mean with more mindful lifestyle is that we would focus on the here and now. We would introduce a non-judgmental approach to mistakes. We would introduce a non-judgmental approach to being lazy at certain times. And another very important aspect of a more mindful lifestyle is to be aware of what you're aiming for. I would like to break it down a little bit. So what I mean is, let's say I want to take a nap. Then I have to identify what my aim is. So my aim is not taking a nap. My aim is to be refreshed, to feel refreshed afterwards. And if I'm radically aiming for the refreshment, I should switch my phone off. Another example would be going to the gym. My aim is to get fitter. Now, if I want to get fit and I would radically focus on that aim, then it's better to not take my phone into the gym for 90 minutes, let's say, workout 90 minutes, an hour, right? If my aim is to socialize, then it would be a good idea to find a gym where people go that are attractive for me to hang out with. And I think that is very important. So when I talk about mindfulness, when I talk about a mindful lifestyle, I find it very important to make clear what you're aiming for and to be in the here and now and focus on what your aim is. I see that every day when I'm in Merewether in Newcastle. People who meet for walks, right? So if I have a friend and I want to catch up with that friend and maintain my friendship, and that friend accidentally likes walking and they have a similar fitness, and they agree to meet me to go for a walk, that's great. So there's not much compromise in this. Then I see people catching up and they also buy a coffee. From a mindfulness perspective, I think this is, well, I shouldn't say wrong, but it's not optimal because they probably won't enjoy the coffee as much with all the senses of smell and taste and everything. Again, this is a mindfulness perspective here. There's nothing wrong with people drinking coffee while they're walking. But I think especially if you want to reduce the coffee intake a little bit and you reduce it to, let's say, 2 or 3 cups a day, you want to enjoy that coffee. So I would suggest to meet your friend, go for a walk, and grab a coffee afterwards by yourself. Close your eyes, sit in the car, wind down for a moment and enjoy your coffee. From a mindfulness perspective, this would be a better idea. We have a saying in German language which goes translated like dancing on too many weddings. We use that term to describe a situation where we weren't able to focus on one goal, and hence we, for instance, couldn't get a job done or something. So, making mistakes or not getting a job done properly, we would excuse ourselves with saying, I was dancing on too many weddings. Now, I think that's a beautiful metaphor for me to use to teach people about mindfulness. And I use that example quite often in therapy and coaching when I want people to understand that they need to learn to dance more on their own wedding. And I think this now overlaps a little bit into setting priorities, but to understand the radical approach of mindfulness a little bit better, I think it is important to talk about setting priorities. I will make another video about priorities, and I will also make another video about boundaries, because I think that's quite necessary. Without becoming a selfish person, I think it starts within yourself. It starts as an internal awareness of what am I aiming for. And I think that's a beautiful exercise for someone who wants to start the journey of living a more mindful life, is to ask yourself, analyze yourself from time to time about the true reason, about the underlying aim. Why am I drinking this coffee? Why am I going to the gym? Why am I going for a walk with my friend? Or why do I want to have a nap? And then radically adjust the activity or whatever I have planned to do to achieve the goal of, let's say, nap, waking up refreshed, and switching the phone off. How can I achieve what I'm aiming for in the most beneficial way? And I want to close today's video with that exercise, and I would like to encourage everyone to use that exercise from time to time to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Often, or what I see in my practice, is that we are trying to compromise too much. And from a very radical mindfulness perspective, that is not very healthy. That will blur the aim, that will blur our goals, and we won't be able to achieve much of what we actually want to achieve if we compromise too much. All right, guys, I see you soon.